Dear students, we will move on to the second session of dentition in mammals. In the last session, we discussed what is dentition, importance of dentition, features of mammalian dentition. Again, what aspects are left to be discussed are structure of mammalian teeth, attachment of mammalian teeth, succession of teeth, kinds of teeth in jaw, cheek teeth types based on cusp patterns, dental formula, teeth modification in mammals. So in this session, we will discuss structure of mammalian teeth. All these slides we already discussed in the other session. Structure of mammalian teeth. So when we take a tooth, mammalian tooth, there are 4 different parts for this mammalian tooth. Not 4, 3 parts for the mammalian tooth, that is crown, neck and root. Crown is the part projecting outside the gum. Root is the part embedded in the socket or alveolus of the jawbone. Neck is the region between the crown and the root. So these are the different parts of a mammalian teeth. 3 regions are there: crown, neck and the root. So this is a vertical section of a tooth. When we take the vertical section of a tooth, there are 5 main things to discuss. 5 main parts to be discussed, that is enamel, dentin, pulp cavity, cementum, periodontal membrane. Periodontal membrane is also known as periodontal ligament. So in this structure you can see the enamel, which is the outer portion of the crown region. First we will discuss the different parts, that is the crown, neck and root. You can see the crown area which is projecting above the gum, the neck which is the middle part, and the root which is embedded inside the socket of the jawbone. You can see the bone there, it is marked bone. Then in the crown region you can see the cusp of the tooth. In this image shown here, there are 2 cusps in the crown region. You can see the enamel, that is a layer outside the dentin. Dentin is the material which is seen inside. Dentin is marked in grey color. Then inside you can see the pulp cavity, which contains blood vessels and nerves. Then there is the periodontal ligament, which is helping the tooth to be fixed inside the socket. Just above the periodontal membrane there is the cementum. There is a layer of cementum that is shown in red as a red line there, red color line, that is not marked in the image. That is the cementum. Cementum and periodontal ligament together help to fix the teeth in the socket. Then you can see the pulp cavity and the root of the pulp cavity. 2 roots can be seen in this tooth, which is shown in this image. So the vertical section of a tooth contains mainly enamel, dentin, pulp cavity, cementum, periodontal membrane. Then about the enamel. Enamel is a thin layer that covers the crown of the teeth. Inside is the dentin. It is very hard and a shining layer. It is the hardest substance in the body. It is relatively resistant to decay. And the composition, it is mainly composed of hydroxyapatite crystals. This enamel is ectodermal in origin and it is completely acellular. There are no cells. It is made up of mainly of hydroxyapatite crystals. and this enamel is formed from ameloblast cells. During the development of teeth, these ameloblast cells secrete enamel. So ameloblast, these are cells present only during the development of the tooth. After the development, after the tooth erupts outside or after the tooth has completed the development, these ameloblast cells are not seen. Their function is to deposit the tooth enamel. And this ameloblast cells are ectodermal in origin, and that's why we are saying enamel is ectodermal in origin. Next is about the dentin. Dentin or dentine. Some say dentin, some say dentine. Substance beneath the tooth enamel on the crown and the cementum on the root. Earlier in the image I showed you the cementum, and inside the cementum there is the dentin, as well as inside the enamel there is the layer below the enamel is the dentin, layer below the cementum is the dentin. So dentin makes up the majority of the tooth. Dentin, and this dentin is covered in the crown area by the enamel and in the root area by the cementum. So this dentin is one of the 4 major components of the teeth, and this formation is known as dentinogenesis. It is a bone-like matrix. It is porous, and also it is yellow-hued, means it is a yellowish white in color. And here we can see collagen fibrils reinforced with carbonated hydroxyapatite crystals. And when we talk about the composition, by volume approximately 45% is hydroxyapatite, 33% is organic material, mainly type 1 collagen, and 22% is dental fluid. This is the composition that we see in the dentin. And it also contains microscopic channels known as dental tubules. And inside these dental tubules are odontoblast process. Odontoblast are cells which line the pulp cavity, outside of the pulp cavity, just beneath the dentin. And we can see that these odontoblast cells are producing certain processes, extensions into the dental tubules. And this dentin is the majority of the teeth, and it encloses the pulp cavity. Inside the dentin we see the pulp cavity. And again about dentin, it continues to form throughout life. Okay, it is not, because this earlier we talked about ameloblast cells. They are not seen after the development of the tooth. They secrete enamel. So once the tooth is developed, the enamel is not secreted again. But this dentin, it is secreted throughout life. These odontoblast cells are present in the tooth throughout life, and so the dentin is secreted throughout life. And this secretion can be initiated in response to stimuli such as tooth decay. To some extent, during tooth decay, this dentin is secreted and it is rectified. But when there is a large decay, the odontoblast cells cannot replace the lost dentin. So there are 3 types of dentin: primary dentin, secondary dentin, and tertiary dentin. Primary dentin is formed during tooth formation. Secondary dentin is a layer formed after root of the tooth is completely formed. That is secondary dentin. Then the tertiary dentin, that is formed later during tooth decay. That is known as tertiary dentin. It is formed in response to a stimulus like caries attack or wear. Okay. Next about the pulp cavity. Pulp cavity is the cavity which is enclosed by the dentin. It contains the soft pulp. It is lined by this pulp cavity. The outer surface of the pulp cavity is lined by dentin forming cells known as odontoblast. What are these odontoblasts? I told you earlier. It is cells that secrete dentin. So their function is dentinogenesis. And it is present until death, secrete dentin throughout life. Next, about pulp. It is a gelatinous connective tissue with blood vessels, lymph channels, and nerve fibers. Enter through the and these lymph channels, blood vessels, and nerve fibers, they enter into the pulp cavity through the pulp canal at the base. In the root, we can see this pulp canal or the root canal in the root area. Through that canal, these blood vessels, nerves, and the lymph channels enter into the pulp cavity. Now, there are two conditions known as hypsilodont dentition. Hypsilodont dentition. It is this already we discussed this in the first part of human dentition, first video of human dentition, that is open rooted and close rooted. This open rooted tooth, or when there is a presence of open rooted tooth, it is also known as hypsilodont dentition. Teeth in which pulp cavity remains open permanently. And we see that in rodents, rabbits, elephants. Here incisors grow throughout life since they are open rooted. Now close rooted. That is when pulp canal closes after the tooth is fully grown, except for a narrow opening for the nerves and blood vessels. And here teeth do not grow after the pulp canal is closed. Now cementum. This is a thin covering outside the dentin in the root portion of the teeth. And the cementum along with the periodontal membrane help to fix root firmly in the socket. Periodontal membrane externally covers the cementum. Okay, so with that we close the structure of mammalian teeth. What is the structure of mammalian teeth? That is what we discussed now. The other aspects of mammalian dentition we'll discuss in other sessions. Thank you.